Hey everybody, Happy New Year and all that. It's Squid Tilt, Slam Tilt, and this is Squid Game, my pinball experience that I've just finished. Took about 8 days to make it. Now, believe it or not, at the beginning of this year, I had no idea what the hell Squid Game was. I had Netflix. I saw that the show kept coming up on my feed. You must watch this show. And I'm like, I don't want to watch no stupid game show. I thought that's what it was. I thought it was a game show or a reality TV show. So I kept ignoring it. And then I watched it. And it's kind of one of those, it's kind of like a Breaking Bad experience. It's like, how the hell have I not seen this show before? And so I was just blown away. I watched the whole of season 1 in 2 days. And then I watched the whole of season 2 in another 2 days. And now, like the rest of the world, I'm just anxiously awaiting season 3. And it is an astonishing TV show from Korea. And I watched it with the English dub. I kind of wish I'd watched it with the original actors because I think it would have been better. But after watching the show, as I always do, because I'm a pinball game designer, I have to make a pinball game based on this show. But I didn't really have a clue how to do it. All I knew is I wanted to do it. So this theme is very, very unusual, and it really forced me to think outside the box. And you have to. You can't just create a general, boring, predictable rule set for a theme like this. You have to think outside the box. So I had to make it up as I went along and just tackle each game as it came along. So if we go back to the videos that I produced, let's have a look. So go back to the first look, which was on the 7th of January. So all I had really was a backglass artwork and an idea in my head. And like I said in the description, all I had was sort of various ideas floating around. I didn't have anything that was sort of landing on anything solid, which means I didn't have anything I could put down on the table. So initially, as you can see here, I used the very basic Future Pinball table. This is the Future Pinball starting table, and it really only has is just flippers, slingshots, and a saucer. That's all I had. And when I had produced this video, that's all I had in my head that I knew I could put down on a table. And then we fast forward to game 2, day 2, which was the very next day. So at this point I thought, okay, well I need to have some drop targets in the left and right, so I put in some simple drop targets. And then I had the center saucer then moved back a little bit, and I thought I'll just have a single pop bumper behind it, and I'll have some targets to the left and right with a single entry point, which is split into 2. So this is day 2. This is after about 24 hours of work. And then I came up with this thing of here of shooting an extra ball around here to keep the ball held in this what I call a holding pin. But more on that later. And I also thought that the flippers should be those pink soldiers. So that was a bad idea. But I already had an idea to have the LCD screen here show the money, and the LCD screen here at the top to sort of show the player what's going on, and to emphasize that they are player 456. Then we fast forward to game 3, or day 3.
Before the timer reaches 0.
So at this point I decided to add some voiceover that I'd created, which is very unique to this game. So I wanted to have the announcer. So the announcer is created on a very simple piece of AI tech. So I go to this website here, and whatever you type in here, she'll say, so hello, Slam Tilt.
Hello, Slam Tilt.
Hello there, Sarah. So that's Sarah. And that's it. So I just say, hello, Slam Tilt. Whatever I type in here, she will say. Now, it's not as easy as that. Then you've got to take it into you've got to go into this thing here, or the city, and you've got to go and put it through a few filters. I increased the pitch, and I went through the EQ and all this stuff to sort of make it sound like an announcer with a bit of a reverberation. But that's basically how you get speech, free speech, in any pinball game. You just generate it yourself using this thing here. Okay, back to the game. So that's the day 3 I added speech from the announcer. And then I also added this central thing here. So I wanted to have the Mingle game, which is from season 2, in my game, because it's absolutely fantastic. So my brain started thinking, okay, I need something spinning in the middle of the table. So, a standard spinning disc, the kind of spinning disc you've seen on Whirlwind, games like that. But what makes this unique is it has a magnet in the middle, so it will hold onto the ball, which kind of mimics the scene in the TV show where they're all stood on the disc as it spins around. And then it will release, and the announcer will call out one of 4 random numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the timer shows a set number of seconds, and these 2 lanes are lit, indicating
Let the game begin.
that the player has to make those required shots, and you have to do that 3 times. So there are 3 rounds in this one game. And that music is just absolutely fantastic. So that was day 3, and then we went to day 4. So day 4, I added the bridge. So on day 3, I had no idea what the hell I was going to do with the bridge. I was trying to think of it as sort of double layer, have 2 sides. We just have a little diverter, and it would go down one side or the other, but that didn't work. And I just thought, well, I need to have a way of creating a 50-50 chance. So there's a 50-50 chance that the ball will roll down here and make it, or it will just break the glass and go into a scoop here, and the ball will be drained and the player is killed. So I thought I'll just have a single bridge, but I'll add an element of chance at the beginning so the player can select between 2 shapes, a circle or a triangle, which I thought was a better way of doing it, to sort of
Shoot the VUK to
introduce an element of chance. So this is the only game that actually requires a great deal of luck. The other ones are all skill, but this one is luck. First of all, you need skill to shoot that VUK, but then the choice is complete chance, and it has to be authentic to the game, to the actual TV show, that there has to be chance in there. It can't all be about skill. So I think on this occasion, I think I did have the ball drop down. And then I had this really dramatic music that I found. It's not from the soundtrack, it's a variation that somebody had created. And I thought it was perfect for this mode to sort of build up the tension. Because the mode itself, you're just shooting a VUK and selecting a shape, and then the ball rolls down. So it doesn't seem very exciting, but you add that music, and it adds an incredible amount of tension and immersion to what would have been quite a simple mode. So that's that. Day 4, and then day 5. Marbles. Oh my god. I had a lot of trouble thinking of what to do with marbles. And then I thought, well, why not do a multi-ball? So the idea is with marbles is 6 balls are launched into play, and you have to hold them on the flippers. And then you have to make a single shot to the saucer in the middle. Now that's the tricky thing. You have to hold all the balls. You can't lose any of the balls. When you make that shot, the ball is released, and then you have to do it again. But this time you have to do it with a minimum of 5 balls, which means you're allowed to lose 1 ball. And then when you do that, you have to do it again. So there are 3 rounds to this game. And you're allowed to lose 2 balls for the last one. So you can have a minimum of 4 balls in play. So this one is all about testing your skills at being able to sort of keep the balls in play by moving them from one flipper to the other. So I thought that was quite a good idea for marbles. And it's very exciting when you actually manage to get 2 and then you're down to the last one. So it's 3 rounds in that particular game. So that's marbles. And I think this is day 6, I believe.
War. Shoot the bumper and light all 6
this is Tug of War,
targets.
yeah. So Tug of War was another one that I wasn't sure about. When I actually created this bumper and these targets, I had no idea what the hell this was going to be. I hadn't got a clue. I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I didn't even know if Tug of War was going to be in the game. I actually thought that I was going to do the cookie one, where you cut the cookie out. So I thought this is what that was going to be, that you'd have to make very precise shots to sort of gently cut out the cookie. But I thought, the Tug of War would be a much better idea. So that's when I converted this into Tug of War. And all I did was just added Tug and War. And then the idea is that the player, whichever lane they come down, lights the corresponding targets. So if they come down the left lane, it only lights these. So they can only hit those targets. And the same with the right side. And then when the ball exits, it turns off all of the lights, except the ones that are permanently lit. And so it's, again, I found a great piece of music to make this way more exciting than it actually is. But it still is an exciting mode, but the music just elevates it to a whole new level. So that was Tug of War. And then I did an arty-farty video here where I was just showing off the artwork that I created. So let's just go back. So you can see what I did there is I just created a single color for the plastics, and then I just added a splash of blood. And the idea with the playfield artwork is just to make it look like a children's playroom, like they do in the show. So it's not going to be too complicated. It just looks like a very simple children's playroom, which is the idea. And at this stage, I hadn't done all the artwork for the playfield, but I knew I wanted to have the squid configuration at the bottom there. So this video was just me showing off the artwork that I've done so far, with some incredible music. I'll get to the music in a minute. And then I programmed the final mode, which is Squid Game. And at this point, I added these little these light inserts, which mimic the ones that are actually in the show. You see them on the wall of the dormitory where they all stay. There's these things are actually painted on the wall of the dormitory. So I thought I'll just replicate that. And these are my own variations that I created. And what happens is when you play any of these games, if you're successful, it will light steady on white. If you're unsuccessful, it will go red. Depending on which mode you're playing, which game mode you're playing, you can either play normal or casual play. I'll get to that later as well. So for Squid Game, I just had to come up with a very simplified version of the Korean children's game. The Squid Game is actually a multiplayer game. It's two teams that actually play it. It's not meant for two people, one-on-one. So I had to convert it into a game that can be played with just two people. So I kind of come up with the idea that it's kind of like a sumo match, and the player steps in the circle, and while they're in the circle, they're safe, but as soon as they enter the square, the opposing player has to push them out. Now, the thing about the Squid Game is there are no rules. Inside that square, there are no rules, which means you can kick, punch, slap, spit, whatever. There are no rules. So there is, in this game in Korea, there normally is bloodshed, and there will be blood in the sand, which I suppose is where the idea of the TV show came from, that it's a children's game, but it's also a very violent children's game. So if you manage to beat the player and get over to the triangle, which is a smaller play area, then I come up with the idea that you both hop in on one leg to make it even more exciting. So you both hop in on one leg. The first person to put two legs down loses, or the first person to get pushed out of the triangle loses. And the winner is the first person, well, the winner is the offensive player placing their foot inside the top circle there. So that's the idea of the Squid Game. So I had to simplify it so I could understand it. And to sort of represent that as in a pinball game, I had each section light up as you completed each task. So the first task is to hit the VUK, the second task is to hit the bumpers until all these lights are illuminated, and the second to last task is to knock down all the drop targets, and then finally you have to you have to hit this saucer, but you have to go past this thing which is spinning around with the magnet, so sometimes the magnet will catch it, so you have to hit the VUK.
Good.
So that's how I came up with the final game, the Squid Game. And you can just see there as well that I had a little toy bridge which matches. This is the actual production photograph of the wall that they created, and I just matched the little fence that you can see on the back wall there to the bridge, which is just above the bumper there. It's an exact replica of that bridge, same colours and everything. So that was the final mode that I created, and then I've been tinkering and messing about and just sort of adding a little bit more polish, and then that's where I came up with the idea of having clips from the show, especially during this scene. At the moment, there's only clips for this scene. I need to add more for the others. But if you've ever seen the show, this particular game, which is, they do it again in season 2, it's so good, is the one that kind of got everybody hooked on the show. Because it's just so mesmerizing, really. And I did not know what was going to happen, because I came to the show completely clean. I hadn't seen anything about the Squid Game. So I came into this scene, and I had no idea that we were going to get killed. So I'm watching this, and then, sure enough, somebody gets killed. So I was like, what? And that's when I knew that this was quite an incredible TV show I was watching here, quite an event. So I didn't know that. And I love that. I love the fact that I just didn't know anything about the show and just went into it. And I'm sorry that if you haven't seen the show, that this contains a hell of a lot of spoilers, so it's going to ruin the experience for you. But what the hell? Okay, so that's the videos all the way up to the most recent one. And the music in this is absolutely astonishing as well. The music was created mostly by this guy, Jung Juel. I think that's how you say his name, but I just went on YouTube. The soundtrack's on YouTube. And all I did is I just took the music from YouTube, just recorded it and edited it specifically for a pinball game. Some I use, some I don't use. There's quite a lot in there. So anybody can listen to this, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And this is another reason why I made a pinball game, because I'm drawn to music. If the project has an incredible soundtrack, I mean the top level, phenomenal, then that draws me in. If I feel an emotional connection to what I'm watching, that is definitely a reason for me to make a pinball game experience. And this definitely had that. It wasn't just the show itself, but it was this incredible music that just beats all the way through the show. And I was just hooked when I heard this music. And I just knew I had to make a pinball game, because I wanted to play a game where I could listen to that music. So let's come out of the internet. Let's come out of there. So let's go into the behind-the-scenes stuff of how I put some of it together. So I will go into the folder. This is the game folder. So the first stage, you have to gather artwork that you found on the internet. So I gather posters, fan art, movie stills. There's all kinds of stuff, and then I use some of it. I don't use all of it, but I use some of it, and some of it inspires me to create my own artwork as well. Like, I didn't use that, but I could have used that for the playfield artwork if I was going to do that kind of artwork. The wall is there. It's just a production still, you see. So I blurred it out slightly. And then we go into what I created, which is the back glass, the video arcade cabinet, which is next to it, the apron. And then I created a game room specifically for it. But if you look at the playfield is extremely simple. That's all I did for the playfield. That's all I needed to do. I didn't need to have characters in the background. I didn't need to have anything really. So I just went with, because this is kind of like a layout of the game sort of boundary, and it looks like a court, like a basketball court. So I thought I'll keep the wood grain in the background, and then I'll just make everything else just work with the wood grain. And it does. It's just perfect. But when you overlay the plastics obviously goes on top of that. So again, I've tried to keep this looking like a playroom. So I've gone for these very vibrant colors, but I've added a splash of blood to sort of give the player a sort of touch of menace, if you like. This is not a children's game. This is a very violent game show where you won't survive if you don't play properly. And then I added the pink soldiers here, one on the left and one on the right. And just for fun, I added part numbers to each of the plastics, like they do in a regular, ordinary pinball machine, just to make it a little bit more authentic. So that was very simple. It's the simplest artwork I've ever produced in a pinball game. And that's the blueprint that I used to line everything up. That's generated by Future Pinball itself. And then I have the back wall here, which is a video player. So that's playing the normal wall, which matches the side walls. And then I use the video player to do red light, and then the other one is You Lost. So I can, because it's a video player, I can put anything I want in there. I can add movie clips, animations, whatever. The back wall can be whatever I want it to be. And then the bumpers are animated as well, where you just have these rainbow colors go up and down, and with a little guy jumping up and down or waving his arms. And then finally we get to the LCD segment. Actually, this isn't finally, I've got to do the audio, but this is the LCD segment. So I have to create all of this myself. So I have an editor that I use for this, and I just try and match the style of the show as much as I can. And I don't do any elaborate animations. It's not necessary. This one, for instance, is just the rainbow colours in the background with an image at the forefront there of the mascot, if you like, the dude who just moves his arms up and down. But it's actually just a triangle that I've inverted, but it looks like he's moving his arms up and down. And then the victory lap, which is just 2 frames of animation. When you beat the game, you get a victory lap. And there's the air when you hit the mingle spinner. So that's what I have to do for the LCD, and it's absolutely as basic as it gets. There are no elaborate animations. This isn't a Jersey Jack game. This isn't a Modern Stern game where you have all that stuff. I don't think it's necessary for any of that. And then finally, we do the audio. And this game doesn't have that much audio in it. It has all the music that I wanted. And it has all the call-outs from the announcer that I've shown you how I created. But the special effects, I've kept them very simple. The sound effects, I've used 8-bit sounds. I mean, in the game, when you play in a specific game, only the game shots make a sound. All the other shots that you hit don't make sounds at all, just the mechanical. So every time you hear like an 8-bit sound, you know you've just made a game shot specific to that game. So other things here, like the glass crack when the ball goes over the glass bridge, I wanted to have a sound of the glass cracking. So you don't know it breaks until the ball gets right to the other end, and then it'll break. So I've added a hell of a lot of tension right there. So you never know when that bridge is going to break because of that crack sound effect. And obviously we've got the very violent side of things with the gunshot, which takes the player out if they fail. Now that's normal mode. Normal mode will kill the player. If they fail any of the games, the player is eliminated, shot in the head. But if you switch to casual mode, as I explain here on my little rule set, casual play removes the deadly consequences of failing a game. Instead, the player has a set number of balls at the start. When failing a game, a ball is lost and another is added to play until all remaining balls are lost. The score is also saved during casual play and a high score can be recorded. Failed games are lit red to shame the player. So that means the inserts are lit red. So they can continue the game in casual play, but in the normal version of the game ends. Anytime a game is failed, the game ends completely and you don't progress any further. So casual play also saves a high score. So you have the option to create a high score, whereas in normal play, you only get your high score logged if you make it all the way to the end of the tournament. And I call it a tournament because it gets confusing. You know, it's a Squid Game tournament which contains 6 games. And these are the rule sets. There's the holding pen there, which in normal play, when you launch a ball, the second ball is launched up here and is held in a holding pen. And it says here, the holding pen is used to eliminate other players. When a new ball is launched into play, another ball is sent to the holding pen. This ball represents 21 other players. When the holding pen contains 5 balls, 105 players, the gate will open and all held players are eliminated. This action also eliminates the player and the game is over. So the idea of that is that each time you start a new ball, 21 players go to the holding pen. So this is how you eliminate the other players in the game. Since as a pinball game, you're not actually directly playing these other players, but there has to be some kind of representation of the other players in the game and a way of eliminating them. And when the holding pen clears, there's actually a gunshot, and you'll hear them screaming. And there's a little flasher up here on the back wall, which is the sniper nest, if you like. And that's where the sniper shoots you from. And there's a little bulb in there which flashes every time you get shot. Oh my God, that's a lot of stuff. So that's how I created the Squid Game in about 8 days. And I will do another video after this, which I will do a commentary video while I'm playing it. And I'll show you just how far I can get in both the normal mode, which is instant death if you fail, and casual mode, how far I can get in casual mode. And then hopefully when I get 10,000 subscribers, I can release this game to the masses and you can all enjoy playing the Squid Game in the comfort of your living room or game room or wherever it is you play pinball. And so that's it. And I'm exhausted now because that's a lot of stuff I had to cover. So I will be back with that gameplay video. In the meantime, as always, toodaloo. Hey, what did you shoot me for? I'm not even playing the game.